This chat
There we are, broadcasting.
to the world.
I guess so. To 0 people. Womp womp.
Here, I'll make you feel better. I hit play.
You're just going to get a delay in the coming out your speakers. So, all right, let's do this.
All right, one viewer, and I closed it.
Some really bad engagement.
That's
there.
I closed it. There we go. All right, ready when you are. Check. Me.
All right. This is the Home Tech Podcast for Friday, November 25th, from Black Friday, from Sarasota, Florida. I'm Seth Johnson.
From Powell, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the Home Tech Podcast, a podcast all about all aspects of home technology, home automation, and turkey, and stuffing, and dressing, and pie.
I'll just leave this conversation to you guys. I ain't celebrating this week, so...
Two of the best things about Thanksgiving, pumpkin pie and turkey.
Yeah. Can't go wrong. Well, I mean, you can if you eat way too much of it. Then you do feel not so good after. But a quick nap or a long nap fixes it usually. So,
well, it's always disappointing too when you spend all that time making the turkey and you go to eat it and it's like the driest thing you've ever had in your life. So it is a lot of time and effort that goes into making Thanksgiving food. So if anybody's cooking this holiday season, thank you for that.
Yep. Well, Gavin, you may not have Thanksgiving, but you do have Black Friday, right?
I mean, kind of. They're just doing what, they're jumping on your Black Friday and offering us the same deals or similar deals.
It's kind of the same deals. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff out there right now. I was at Target the other day or yesterday, and they had started their Black Friday stuff, and there's stuff in their aisles, tags on some of the products, and of course no one actually in the store shopping, but there were a lot of good deals, it seemed. I went back and looked at the TVs, and man, there was like a 70-inch TV, a Samsung TV for like $500, some 60-inch TCLs and different other things around the same price, not 70 inches, maybe 60 inch, for like anywhere between $400 and $500, which is like, it blows my mind that stuff could be that, TVs that are that large could be that inexpensive. It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy how much it's dropped in price. Like, but the thing is that I find is even those TVs are better than most of the TVs in my house anyway. Their quality, like, it's an opportunity to upgrade some of my TVs in my house, but we don't have them that cheap up here.
Yeah. Well, the TJ, have you seen any Black Friday deals that stand out to you? You were talking about getting an iRobot Roomba.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, to be honest, I just don't need anything at this point, right? There's always some stuff that you want. But there's nothing that like is necessary at this point. There's a couple of good deals I found. There's like an iRobot Roomba, just like the base one with no emptying trash can thing that they come with. It's less than $200. There's the Eufy Wi-Fi doorbell with the chime. That's $70. So there's some decent sales on various electronics if you need that kind of thing right now. I don't know how it compares to prices before, but this happens every year where stuff goes on sale. You might get an extra item with it, or it's half the price of what it normally is. So now's the time to look for electronics.
One of the things I do is I don't know if you've ever heard of a site called Camel. Utilize that. That's one of my favorite sites. I just have on my Amazon, I have like a wish list set up and it's shared with Camel. And when there's something I want, I just add it to the wish list, and eventually it will tell me when it drops in the lowest price or to a price that I want it at, and then I can buy it then. So throughout the year, you'll find like things constantly drop in price that when you reach Black Friday, it's like you already got everything and you got it for a good price.
Yep. They always trick you. Well, they have computers and algorithms to trick you on that kind of thing. So yeah, keep an eye out. That's a pretty good site. I was looking for some of those twinkly lights, and I thought they were a good price, and it turns out they weren't. as good as like the price I could have gotten them for like 6 months before, but oh well. It's kind of one of those, it's kind of like a mixed bag there. Like if you need something, you're pretty much going to end up paying the price for it. But if you don't, if you just kind of need to like wait around for a good price on something, you can leave Camel running there, and it'll send you a notification or let you know when it's time to buy, which is kind of nice.
And also, one of my favorite things to do around Black Friday is renew my subscriptions. You'll find all the services that you sign up for. They'll offer some kind of deal around Black Friday, and you renew it. So for example, InnoReader is my RSS reader that I use. I use it every day. I use it heavily, and they're giving you 6 months free if you sign up for a year. So obviously, I'm going to sign up for that. Save some dollars right there.
Good point.
Yeah, that is a good point, because I got to notice that my the remote start that I use, Drone Mobile, they're offering, I think 35% off their yearly plans. I got a good cell phone service plan. I think it was about $5 a month. So I saved about $5 a month on that one as well. So that is a good point to look at your subscriptions and your softwares.
Yep. It's a great idea. Well, I was looking at these Black Friday deals, and one of the TVs I saw has a soccer ball thing on it. What we call it, soccer ball. I guess it's football everywhere else, but the World Cup's going on down right now. Like, I know, Gavin, you're big into sports. Are you partaking in the festivities, the non-alcoholic dry festivities this year?
Oh yeah, every game I watch without alcohol, mainly because I'm working. But
yeah, it's during it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Not a good time to drink.
Yeah, the 5 o'clock games I usually watch later on if it's important, and I don't look at my phone or anything until I watch the game. But I've been watching during the day. I'll put the game on one of my monitors and while I'm working, and yeah, I've been loving the game. Go Japan! I love their win today or this week. And we're rooting for Canada.
Yeah, I haven't, TJ, I'm not even going to ask, but I haven't like been very enthusiastic about this one for whatever reason this year. Usually I'm like all over the matches and just have them on. It was one of those like background things, because if you put on the right announcer, and you have to use like the Telemanila, like you can't use the American feed or the BBC feed. You have to use the Latinos feeds from like Telemundo, or I think it's Telemundo. I think is this year. No, I don't remember who's broadcasting it, but I found it. It's free. You can just log onto it, and I know that they're saying people's names but not understanding anything else. But the faster they get and the louder they get, that's when something's happening. You need to like perk up and look over and see what's going on, because that's how I determine what to watch.
And I find if I'm not watching one of the UK feeds, I don't feel authentic. It's something about having the English accent call the game is so much more authentic. Even the Canadian feeds, I feel like they put the English guys on there just on purpose, just to give them more of a authentic feel.
That's funny. Well, we got some big news this week. Let's launch this thing, because it'll be fun. By the time this goes out, I might actually have it finished.
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. I sold all of my car stocks in my large car company, and I bought a social media network, and we have a social media network now, guys. So if you go to HomeTech.social, you can abandon Twitter and sign up over there at HomeTech.social, and it's a Mastodon thing. Like, that seems to be where nerd people are fleeing to. I don't really know. I haven't really figured it out, but I was looking around. I couldn't really find any. Like, there's the Twit has one, Twit.social. There are some other ones out there that are like technology focused, but I didn't really find one that was like home automation focused, which is kind of like what we could be if it gains popularity. I don't know. There could be like 3 people that are interested in that kind of thing. I don't know that I am yet, but the usage that I've got out of Mastodon so far has been quieter than the normal Twitter. Like, there's not as many people on it, clearly. But I have just barely used it and kind of like gone back and forth. But the people that are on there that I have followed are pretty good follows. So decent posts and images and pictures and that kind of thing pop up on there from time to time. So I'm pretty convinced at this point that Twitter is dead, and you can't fire that amount of people who know where the bodies are buried and expect a company to survive on just willpower alone. That's not going to happen. So will be interesting to see what happens there. But we've spent billions of dollars putting this together, right? So like you guys are testing it right now.
Yep.
I think TJ's testing it. I don't know if Gavin's even on there yet, but
I'm testing the migration process shortly. Yeah, the testing's going slow because you fired half the staff.
I know, right? So, I'm sorry, I should have done that.
Well, we can't afford Cedia if we're paying all these staff.
I know, right?
To sit around and do nothing.
We're going to Cedia, so yeah. We can't. We've got to be able to put our money where we've got to have our priorities here. I guess is what you're saying. So.
I think Mastodon at this point is kind of like cryptocurrency, right? Where it's like the technology behind it makes sense. And, I can see how it's a thing, right? Like totally, it's there. I get it. But like using it and like telling other people about it is basically the same thing at this point.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Like it's just like listening to, I think you guys talk about the migration process, and I was listening to Accidental Tech podcast earlier today, and they were talking about Mastodon. And it just sounds like such a terrible social media platform. Like it just sounds like, I guess, like a blog or something. I don't know.
It can be a little bit of both, I suppose. Like it's not far from Twitter. Like, but this thing has been out for, I want to say like 5 or 6 years now. It's been out for a while. And the first time that we thought Twitter was just everybody was done with it. They started this up and I kind of created an account over on one of the servers. The weird part about it is like, it's not like one place that you go, right? Like everybody will go to twitter.com or facebook.com and Instagram, and you can make an account there and you can have multiple accounts there, but it's still on those sites. It's still on Twitter. The way they've done this is more like email, right? So like you can have an email account at Gmail or Yahoo or AOL or whatever. And you can use those accounts differently. You can combine them all into one account and just use one of those logins or something. But for the most part, it's kind of like a hybrid between email and Twitter or microblogging or something like that. But each individual server can kind of have its own rules and focus on what it wants to kind of talk about. And then if you want to talk about other stuff, like if you want to look at what's going on a different server, you just kind of sign up and peer over into that, and it kind of like unifies the experience through whatever app or whatever you're using, but you're just kind of like logged on and joined that other server. I think it's got a ways to go. Like it's not as easy to, I say it's not as easy. I had a Twitter account from like 2010 or 2009, like way back. And I'm like, I never used it because I couldn't figure out how to use it. Like, it just seems so confusing. And then I started understanding what hashtags were. And like, I felt like I felt like an old person on an Urban Dictionary trying to like look up, like, what is that word? Like trying to like, is there a manual for Twitter? And I don't know. I eventually figured it out and was able to basically mute a ton of people who were spamming the crap out of the timeline. And once I did that, like, it was a pretty good like experience. Like, I didn't see these giant walls of hashtags or anything anymore. I basically muted anything that was over like three hashtags or something like that. If you have four I never see those tweets like for the past 5 years or 6 years that I've been on Twitter. So I don't know. I think this has got a little ways to go, but it's fun. This is kind of like our own little playground that we can get into and have a little social network. And if you want to join, it's HomeTech.fm HomeTech.social. That's it. It's got its own thing. It's its own computer. It does not run in my garage.
So does this have like individual rooms and stuff, or is it basically just one, continuous feed like Twitter or,
Yeah, it's one continuous feed like Twitter. I don't think there's a concept of rooms or groups, but maybe there is. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
One thing I did was, I don't know what's happening with Twitter, but I downloaded my whole profile. So I'll have everybody that follows me and everybody I follow, the list and everything. So if you want to do that, keep in mind it may take a day or two for them to actually zip it up and everything for you. Then
There's
they'll
one
send you a
guy. There's
link.
one guy, Gavin, that
Yeah.
he fired everybody else. He's kind of like, oh, Gavin needs his stuff. I got to zip all this up and send it to him.
It took him a day to do it. I don't know why it took him so long. It's just me, but
Control
I didn't have much to get anyway, so I have my list and everything downloaded. So if Twitter goes down tomorrow, I can try and re-find everybody on Mastodon.
Yeah, and Mastodon is there's some tools out there, some open source tools that you can use that connect to your Twitter account and can cross-reference people. But what I found is like once I find people that, or people find me that on Mastodon, like I can go and look and see who they're following and kind of pick out the people that I know out of those lists, because it's kind of like the same social network, and at this point still full of nerdy people that are signing up for this thing. But it's the barrier is not that hard if you're familiar with Twitter, on like just getting onto one of the big servers, the like .social server, the Mastodon's .social or whatever. It's a very similar experience, but finding everybody, that may have a different username or altogether because they didn't get there fast enough to get their Twitter username on Mastodon, who knows? But it'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes. There could be just like I said, just be like 3 people on there. But I have Seth at HomeTech.social, so why not? It's like having an email, a vanity email address. If you want to have your name at HomeTech.social as your Mastodon name thing that may or may not be a thing in the future, come get it. It's there.
Now, is there any kind of like a verification status to know if these are legit people, Seth? I mean, how do I know that you're Seth?
That's a good question. I don't know if there is any verification on that. Are you suggesting that you're going to create a bunch of fake accounts and spam
Not me.
them?
I mean, what if somebody like acts like
Somebody
they're me?
does.
What if Gavin decides tomorrow that he's going to pretend to be me? I don't have any recourse for that, right?
Look for the people with the orange check. We'll hand out orange checks.
You could post like incriminating things about me or something. I don't know. It would tank. It would tank my home tech career.
It could tank your stocks in your thing. I don't know. I have to look at all this. It's all kind of new to me. And there is some like forms of administration things that you can do in moderation and all that kind of stuff. So
I'll have to step down as CEO of my car company.
Well, at least you'll have your rocket company to back.
Well, that's true.
Space rocket thing. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It should be kind of fun, and we'll see what happens. So if you're interested in that, HomeTech.social, easy enough to remember, I guess. I should remember it, but I keep saying
it's easy enough.
Maybe if you go to HomeTech.fm/social, I'll have a redirect that points you in the right direction by the time this comes out on Friday. I have no idea. We'll see what happens. It's technology, computers. All right, guys, what do you say we jump into a couple of home tech headlines?
Let's do it.
All right, we talked about this last week, but there's another hit piece that came out for Amazon, so we've got to talk about this. Over at the Ars Technica, they posted this story about Amazon saying it's going to eliminate 10,000 jobs in the business unit that also includes Amazon Alexa and the Amazon Echo people. So it's called the division is called Worldwide Digital, and it doesn't include just Amazon, like the Amazon Echo device people and the Alexa people. Like it also includes Amazon Prime Video, and let's see, and some other things that are probably in there too. So like when they say it's on track to lose $10 billion this year, that's a significant amount of money. But keep in mind that the video stuff is in there too, and they spent $1 billion just to make Lord of the Rings. So that could be part of it, right? So it says that the division lost $3 billion in just the first quarter of 2022, with other division, which is double the losses of any other division. So this thing's bleeding money. It seems like from the reporting here is that Jeff Bezos was just like a huge advocate of the ecosystem, and the new CEO, not so much. So they're letting people go, shutting down projects, it sounds like. And it doesn't sound like there's like interest in losing the platform. I don't think let's get this out. I don't think Echo or Alexa going anywhere anytime soon, but it does sound like there's going to be a renewed focus on the platform, and that might actually be pretty good.
Yeah, maybe like a renewed focus on like the actual home automation side. I mean, it started out as, a general shopper for everybody, right? It was an easy way for you to yell across the room and order more toilet paper through Amazon, and they would deliver it the next couple days for you. It evolved quickly into a home automation platform, and I don't think Amazon was really ready for that and what that really entailed.
I think it, and I'm going to use a pun here, it found its voice in home automation. Like, I don't think it was something they thought about at all. Like it was, if you go back and look at that original commercial, and it's online somewhere, they're like, I can check the weather and ask a dumb joke, and like, it'll tell me a joke. But there was nothing, I don't think there was anything about home automation in that, like, mentioned at all. Set reminders, timers, all the like core features were there. But home automation is just something like popped up, and people are like, oh, this is cool. And then it definitely gained some traction because of how open the ecosystem was for development.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. And just like you said, I don't think it's going away. I think they'll probably eventually add some kind of like ad tier or, subscription plan with it that will give you some kind of advanced features or something, maybe to soften the blow. But, everywhere's kind of going through a recession at this point. Everybody's kind of cutting staff. It's tightening of the belts, which is pretty normal. The only reason it's coming under scrutiny right now is because of the recession everywhere. If the economy was going good right now, nobody would be batting an eye, and it would be business as normal. But now that everybody's kind of losing money and stuff is slowing down, like, you're going to see these cuts everywhere.
Yep. Gavin, I know you're a big user.
Oh yeah, I'm a big user, and I don't. I don't think the actual core will go anywhere, like you said. I think it will probably get some renewed focus, some more specific. We'll stop seeing things like that flying robot being talked about, all these other weird things that they're working on. Probably some of those are going to get canned, but I'm good with that. We'll see. It is, I know Home Assistant's using this year to focus on their own local voice control. So, for us that are really into the, our do-it-yourself type of thing, we can look forward to something like that. Maybe if, the Amazon was starting to annoy me because of all the, what's that prompt that it keeps giving you, by the way, or whatever like that, all these random prompts they keep throwing in there. And if that gets worse, I'll just throw it out.
Yeah, it will be nice if this stuff has stuff to compete with, right? So like if there's an open source alternative for home automation, voice controlled home automation, that really steps up the game, like, it would be nice to see individuals who are in Amazon actually, chase some of those features that people may be leaving for. And I think they have enough money to make really good product, but like all of those things we talked about, like the subscription thing, TJ, like this article kind of does say that, like, they had all these ideas and really nothing has worked or stuck to this thing. Like, it's like they've tried to put advertisements in. People don't like that. They've tried to do a bunch of like skills specifically tailored to maybe like ordering a pizza from Domino's or something like that. Did not work. Like they couldn't, people were just like, I'll just use the app and order the right pizza rather than rely on this thing to kind of guess at what I want. So they can't find an exterior funding source for this. And you were saying like maybe a subscription, but I'm like, I have one other idea, and it's kind of mentioned down here at the bottom. Like, why don't they just raise the price of the device? Right. Like, here's the quote here in the article. And I guess Google is having like almost identical problems, not to the tune of $10 billion, but they've definitely cut back on their the business unit that manufactures the Pixel products. It says, while Google and Amazon hurt each other with an at-cost pricing war, Apple's smart speaker plans focused on more on the bottom line. The original HomePod's $350 price was a lot more expensive than the competition, but that's probably a more sustainable business model than charging nothing for the product, or at cost for the product and then expecting to make it up. I don't know how, like, because they just didn't have a business plan for it. They just will put this out there and the money will come, is what they thought. And I think that's probably not a smart idea.
And a lot of things you mentioned too, like it's weird, but it's like, how do you find out about this stuff? Like how do you find out? Like, there's no interface. Like, there's nobody's advertising that, hey, you can use your Amazon device to do this, right? There's thousands of skills, but you never know what they are, or who has a skill, or how to use it, or anything like that. So I think a lot of that, it has an interface or an educational issue that I've heard people complain about too.
Yeah, and I think, really Amazon's in the best position for this, right? Because they have a giant server company, AWS. So, their cost to run the servers is obviously something they have to keep track of, but they're probably in a lot better position than other companies who would want to start a voice assistant at this point. I mean, they kind of have that backbone at least. So it helps out a little bit, but it's still a big challenge to deal with all that information.
Yeah, I mean, don't discount Google there. They kind of have have their own servers too and infrastructure as well. And Apple, I think, was using Amazon and Google, but has in recent years had enough money. I mean, like what, a $2 trillion company at this point, to basically build out their own data centers and do their own thing. It's pretty interesting here. Alexa seems to be in third place in the US for voice assistant popularity. Google Assistant has 81.5 million users, Apple Siri at 77.6, and Alexa at 71.6 million. So I don't think they're in a bad place at all. Like that's pretty good. They just got to figure out how to make money on their product, and I don't know. It's a good product. They just should charge for it. and then actually have direction. Like there's another thing in here. One employee told Business Insider that currently, quote, there is no directive for devices in the future. They need some leadership. It sounds like some leadership is going to get in there, has an idea of what to do with this thing that doesn't involve maybe advertising, maybe making like some really quality products that work really well. Like extremely well. That would be a good idea. And pay for it. You can pay for it. So.
And I think there's a chance too. I mean, I think it'd be kind of ironic, but what if they released a more expensive option that was, privacy focused first, where maybe stuff didn't leave the device itself as often, or, open it up something to like advanced automation. So it actually became like a true smart home platform. And a lot of that stuff, my problem with all this software though, is that if you want good support in the long run, you're going to have to pay more than $40 one time for it, right? It's that ongoing support of all the products, it's the updates and all that good stuff. If you're not paying for the software at some point, you're going to be the product. So why not release, something else that kind of bypasses that, and maybe it's more privacy focused, or maybe you can do more advanced automations, that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe they've already thought about all that.
I don't know. Maybe they just realize our data is not really worth that much to them for some reason. Like
everybody's got it now.
This person ordered a toothbrush. That's really good information. Oh, Gavin has been talking about a TV for 6 months. And he bought one TV in, for a year. Well, no, it was 12 months.
Didn't even buy it from Amazon. What the heck?
Yeah. Exactly.
Game ads for it every day.
All right. Well, speaking of spending money on product, Sonos is preparing a new wave of premium home speakers for release sometime next year. We don't know when. This comes from The Verge, and they have had some pretty good, hints and into what Sonos is doing. Some
mostly
leaks,
correct.
Yeah, mostly correct. Yeah. There's still the surround product thing that never materialized.
Oh my gosh, that was a big one.
Yeah, I was hoping. But in this case, I think according to this story, Sonos is going to be entering some new product categories, and specifically 4 new categories. We don't know what they are because they're kind of quiet on that, but in the URL on this link that we'll put in the show notes, headphones is in that, TJ, and you've got to be celebrating at this point.
Give me headphones already.
So what are you going to pay for your headphones?
Honestly, at this point, I think I would pay at most like $200, maybe $300. I mean, it's one of those things, right? So I use my Bluetooth headphones a lot with my phone just to listen to music and stuff as I'm walking around the house. But a lot of times I would like to listen to my TV instead. But maybe it's like early in the morning or it's late at night where I don't want the TV audio going super loud, or I don't want to use all the speakers. So, TV headphones have been around for decades at this point. I just need some that are compatible with Sonos.
And I think it comes down to the features, like I'm expecting that if they came out with something like this, if I turn on my TV, I can just instantly like either tap on the headphones or something, and it would turn off all the speakers and just put it in the headphones. Something easy like that. I'm hoping that it would offer. If it doesn't, then I probably wouldn't bother with it.
I don't see why not. I mean, you can do that with their current speakers for the most part. So all they have to do is add a button, and as long as they have Bluetooth on them as well. Like, I'm not just gonna buy a set of Sonos headphones. Like, I want to be able to use them with a Bluetooth device if I want to.
This article mentions them purchasing a company called T2 Software, and they'd been focusing on Bluetooth LE audio standard and a related LC3 codec. So probably won't be disappointed with whatever they come out. It sounds like it'll probably work with Bluetooth for sure.
Well, and I know there's a lot of complaints about the Sonos Roam. I've never used it myself, but supposedly a lot of people have problems with the Bluetooth in that device, either cutting out or dropping out. So it's a common complaint, and hopefully they resolve that before this is released. I don't think the Move has that issue, so I don't know if it's some different Bluetooth device that's inside there or what, but that is a common complaint.
Yeah, so headphones, possibly some kind of home theater product, and then there's another company they bought that has to do with like they were working on something, a transducer, which is a speaker that will be smaller and lighter form factors while producing exceptional sound. So maybe a smaller device that produces really good sound from Sonos. So
there's your Atmos speakers.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, headphones seems to be all over this article though. So
yeah, we've been talking about headphones now for like 6 years. I feel like
you guys mentioning it. I think you mentioning it was the first I'd heard of it. Like,
yeah.
I never even thought about putting a Sonos inside of headphones, but I guess you can do it.
Make it happen.
Yeah, be good for like watching TV at night too. Like, people use it. I've known a lot of people who like watch TV. They'll put headphones on.
And what's weird to me too is that Sonos hasn't opened this up to like let you do separate left, center, and rights. Like, I don't know if it's just like an ease of use thing, but I feel like they would sell way more speakers if they let me, do like a Sonos Arc as my center channel, and then like a Beam as the left and right, or even like a 7.1. So maybe they'll like expand a little bit.
Can I get 5 arcs like in a 5.1 configuration?
That's what I'm saying. Why not?
Just big speakers everywhere. I don't know. Seems pretty cool. We'll see what they do. The one of the other things was a home theater OS thing that they talked about, job postings and needing things for that. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. Keep an eye. Supposedly next year we're going to start seeing some of this stuff fly onto the shelves, so it'll fly off and not be in stock shortly thereafter.
I'm not buying it unless it's Matter compatible.
Headphones with Matter. There you go.
That's right.
All right. Well, all the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found on our show notes over at HomeTech.fm/413. All right, I got a little follow up here in the mailbag from Tokyo Jim there in the hub. He wrote on last week's podcast there was talk about AirPlay requiring the stream to pass through the phone or computer before streaming to the TV or audio device. So although this was true for the original AirPlay 2, which is what's in all the new TVs, acts more like Chromecasting, whereby the stream is then loaded directly to the TV. I did not know that. I knew there was improvements in the AirPlay 2. I did not know it was doing this. So that's actually really cool. Very cool.
I wonder if it's different though, because when I'm streaming from my phone, my podcast I'm listening to, I've heard it break up and stuff like that when I've been out of range. Um, I wonder if it's different if you're like casting something that it can connect to, on its own. Like if it knows it's a YouTube video, for example, will it then cast that? Versus if you're
Audio on your
sending audio,
phone.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's probably
but
the difference.
it's good to know though.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because big things like videos probably be better if it directly connected. The audio on your phone is good enough to go through the Wi-Fi most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very interesting piece. Thanks, Jimmy, for writing in. I did not know that, so it's a good piece of information to get into the head here. All right, we got a pick of the week from TJ, courtesy of a post that he did over in the hub, and I have this labeled TJ Sucky Thing. So describe this thing, man. It's a little vacuum attachment that you found.
Yeah, it's a very basic item, right? When you're mounting a TV or you're cutting holes, there's all of that drywall dust that kind of gets everywhere. And when I worked down in Florida, we learned several different methods to kind of deal with this. You make a little tape shelf with some drywall or some masking tape or drywall paint tape, whatever that's called. You put some plastic down, you put a cardboard box up to it, whatever. I mean, drywall dust still gets everywhere.
Push it underneath the cabinet.
Yeah. I mean, all kinds of you put a drop cloth down, whatever. You hold the vacuum.
You just shake it out in their living room. Yeah, I've been there.
Wait till you get out in the driveway, at least. Jeez.
And you didn't work with the same technicians I worked with.
But then hopefully you remember it before you get to the next house and you shake it out in their house.
Yes.
But this is a little $50 tool. I think it's called an air tip, something from Milwaukee. It's compatible with a wide range of vacuums, so you don't have to use a Milwaukee vacuum. I'm using like a $40 Stinger vacuum, I think, like a shop vac. And basically what it does is it creates a suction against the wall. So it actually uses the vacuum to suck against the wall. And then there's like a little slot up top. So as you're, cutting your hole or drilling, the dust just falls right into it and just gets sucked in. And it's $50. You can buy them at Home Depot or, pretty much any hardware store that sells Milwaukee tools. I'm sure other companies make them as well. It's probably not a new invention or anything, but I saw it at the store the other day and I wanted to give it a shot. And today I finally tried it. Worked great. The only thing is it left a little residue on the wall, which is to be expected. But I did not get any dust, on the carpet or anything. One thing I didn't really like about it, though, is it's very, tall as you add the actual vacuum, hose to it. So depending on, where you've installed like the mount or if you're cutting on a wall plate or something, the trim might be too close and it doesn't actually create suction because it doesn't lay flat against the wall. So the sizing is, a little bit of a factor depending on if you can use it or not, but it's good for most things, I would say.
Yeah, it's almost like a little dustpan that has a vacuum attachment at the bottom instead of a handle. Yeah.
Super simple.
Yeah, I don't know why it's taken them this long to come up somebody to invent something like this, and maybe something like this has been out for years, but I've never seen it. I've always tried the tape or the cardboard box or just many drop cloths, all the stuff that kind of worked, not really.
There's nothing more infuriating than drilling 4 holes and you have all the drywall dust on the tape and you're about to fold the tape into itself and then all the dust just flies everywhere and it falls on the ground and you just voided all the work that you tried to avoid. So
why did I even try?
Yeah, should just let it go on the ground.
Yeah, very cool. Always cool. I like tools. Tools are fun to get, even though I don't want to use that tool. It would come in handy.
Well, tools are great when they do the job and they save you time, and something like this, it's $50, but it'll save me some time in the long run. All I have to do when I'm done is just wipe down the wall. So, worth the money.
Does this snap in with our red tool cases? Does it snap on top somehow?
It does not.
Oh,
it's not pack out compatible.
Darn. I was looking around. Mine's in the garage today.
They might have maybe like the Milwaukee pack out vacuum has like a spot for it or something, but it's pretty large, honestly. So I think whatever you mounted it on would be like an external mount instead of like internal. So I'm sure you could get like a little pipe or something and just mount it somewhere.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't get broken.
Very nice. Gavin, do you have anything to say?
Do you need a sucky thing, Gavin?
You didn't.
I had something similar on my sander. You know, I'd sand
little hose attachment.
Yeah, little hose attachment. It worked good. I mean, got most of it.
Well,
but this looks like it's even better.
Supposedly, that's like a requirement for some job sites now because of OSHA. Like, you have to have a vacuum attached to your tool that can't create airborne dust. I don't work in those environments myself, but I've heard about it. So
no, I have in my entire career, I never worked in a non-dusty environment.
Yeah, pretty standard.
In fact, the more dust, that was pretty much the guaranteed sign that I was going to be working in that particular spot. So the more pet dander, dust, fur, well, I just all sorts of stuff. Probably should have worn a mask for years. Anyway, if you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas for a show, give us a shout. Our email address is feedback@HomeTech.fm. You can visit HomeTech.fm/feedback and fill out the online form. All right. This has been a short show, right? Like we haven't been going on very long. We got plenty of projects to talk about. First up, some business projects for the business. TJ, you says you're converting to D-Tools, man. What is that about?
Yeah. So right now, I'm using a software for my business called House Call Pro. We do all our, invoicing and scheduling and all that kind of good stuff. It creates basically a general estimate or job layout and kind of tells you the line items and stuff, but it doesn't really make it look attractive, right? Like it's a base program. It does fine. I go out and install TVs or a Ring doorbell. Nobody really cares about the presentation of the estimate, right? But the problem is when you get into some of these larger projects where they want like a full breakdown, or you have to put a job description and you have to kind of give more information to, sell the job. That's where House Call Pro kind of falls short. So I'm starting to look into D-Tools. I've started my trial with it. I've used it in the past. I know a lot of people that use it. They love it. It's got a lot of nice integrations. You can tie it into like ADI and Snap AV, so you can automatically import items and pricing, and it suggests labor, and it's all around a pretty good product. I don't know if I'm going to convert to it fully just yet. I mean, it looks really nice for those larger projects when you're doing like a very, nice home theater or conference rooms, that kind of thing. But if I just want to like install a TV or something, it seems like it's a bit
much. Yeah.
Yeah. A little complex for that. So I don't know where I sit with that. I've got 21 days left on it. We're going to go ahead and give it a shot and see what happens. I think pricing is similar to what I pay right now, maybe a little bit more. But the benefits might be worth it in the long run. So if you use D-Tools, maybe drop us a message and let us know what you like about it. If you don't use D-Tools, maybe you use something else. Let us know what you use. I'm always looking for new software to kind of help the business and get everything running efficiently. So looking for suggestions there.
Yep. Yeah, I will say, I mean, from my experience, I never figured out exactly how to do the presentation proposal very well. And like for small projects and hanging TVs, like going from like quoting the job or, into getting invoiced, I think was kind of like the biggest like hurdle. And one of the like many like even the software I use now, it's called Wave apps or something like that. It's basically like QuickBooks online. Like it's all in the web and you just kind of go in and do all your banking stuff in there. But it's free and they have like invoicing and people can just pay with their credit cards or bank draft or whatever, and it goes right into your bank account through their software. So like that's always been like getting the money, like sending that off and making it convenient for someone to pay. It has been like my number one like realizations. Like that's the number one feature you need. Like it doesn't really matter like how good or bad the quoting software is, as long as you can like get the system designed out and to where you think it's going to need to be within the budgets and everything, and then just be able to get that deposit put in with speed, so everybody's happy. That was always like the challenge. I know that probably the one you're talking about has it, House Call or whatever, probably has that electronic, and everybody has that invoicing. I think D-Tools even has that now. So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have any problems with my current software. I mean, it works mostly fine. But like I said, when you get to those larger projects that kind of want like a whole PDF layout and diagram and all that kind of good stuff, the House Call Pro isn't really meant for that. It's really more of like, an HVAC or electrician software, where you're kind of just going in and repairing things or replacing things, not necessarily doing full, blown build outs and everything. So we'll see how it goes.
Gavin, you running any software for your business that you can invoice quickly with?
I don't even have any clients to invoice. These are the problems I don't have to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, software is expensive.
Yeah, it can get kind of crazy.
Adds up pretty quickly, especially when you start adding the different, layers and everything like that. It's not just enough to have the invoicing and estimation software. You have to have the tracking software or the mailing software or this or that. So, I mean, it's every little piece adds up, and eventually you're pretty much at what it costs for rent or something.
Mm-hmm. Cost of doing business, man.
But if it makes it easy, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we didn't really care that we were paying X amount a month for so many seats, as long as like if it paid for itself, it makes sense. If it made getting the job done faster is good, but like also like getting money in for the job was even better. So like going around and tracking people down for a check deposit, that wasn't really working, but you could send them a little form online and they just had no problem putting a credit card in or a bank draft or whatever and just doing it that way. That seemed to be like a big differentiator that we had on the software when I was doing this. And this was a while back. So imagine that online payments was a thing. Like
crazy.
I know, who would have thought? All right. Gavin's got no business, got no clients, but he's got projects. And specifically the state of Gavin's home automation home assistant home continues to expand. It's like it's just a virus, I guess, now at this point. Like it's getting into everything.
Just keeps cheating on Habitat.
I know, right?
I feel so bad every time I make another change. I know I'm gonna be powering it off soon. I hope it didn't hear me.
That's gonna be a sad conversation.
I know. The sad part is canceling my Habitat subscription. Like I almost have to send thank you cards to the support guys, just for the years we've been talking. It's a sad time, but like this week I basically migrated all my Z-Wave stuff over. So I picked up a Zeus S2 stick, a 700 series stick, plugged it into my server, started up Z-Wave JS, and pretty much just started migrating stuff over. All the hardwired. So this was one of the things I really wanted to see was, are the problems with Z-Wave or were they with the Habitat, right? Like this is some of the stuff I was dealing with. And so all the hardwired stuff moved over easily. All my Innovelli switches discovered, easily done, everything worked. Where I really had problems was with when I started getting into the battery stuff. They were just, finicky to get them added. And eventually I got through them all, but it just took too much time. One of the things I didn't plan properly, I guess, was my hub is sitting in the basement. It's on my server. It sits in the basement. The USB key is in the basement. So some of the devices in the further part of my home were having a hard time communicating with it, right? Especially when adding it. It doesn't go through the routers to add it. It needs to talk to the USB stick directly. So the only thing I came up with was I just grabbed a really long USB cable, extension cable, ran it all the way up to the middle of my house, and that, I was able to add the rest of the stuff. And then once I added them, they were in the mesh and they would be able to communicate later on. So it's just getting them initially added. But once I did that, I went through a number of batteries. I have to order more batteries because adding and removing drains the batteries. But it's now running. One thing I have to say is I haven't had yet any Z-Wave problems. Devices are always responding, very fast. Nothing's dropped off. It's been good. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping it stays that way. Next will be Zigbee, so I
Is that
still
the
have
last hurdle? That's the last one.
The only thing I have left, so I did about 100 devices, Z-Wave devices, but I have like about 10 to 20 Zigbee devices still sitting on my Habitat Hub, plus my camera integration. So I've actually written my first integration for Home Assistant for my cameras. I'm just cleaning up the code and fixing and adding a few little things, but then I'll be able to move my cameras over, and my last of the Zigbee, and then it will be a sad day when I power off the hub and do a reset. I don't know. I have to have a cake or something. I'm feeling so bad.
What is the Habitat subscription? I didn't realize they had one.
They have and it's a really good subscription. So they have a subscription where you get if your hub dies, they'll ship you a new one. So that's one of the features of it. It's like instant, like they'll ship it the next day. The other thing it allows is not backups, but backups of the USB, the Z-Wave stick. So if your hub were to die, you could back up and restore the Z-Wave devices as well. And there's a few remote access to the hub, I think was another feature in it. So there were a couple things. It wasn't expensive. I think it was like $40 for the year, but it was more of a backup thing because these hubs become like the central part of your home, that if it dies, it becomes important when things don't work, right? So it's good to have a nice little backup. And a lot of people wanted remote access into their hub, and this is kind of like they provide a proxy service or whatever to get you into your house.
Very nice.
Well, I've had a little project that I'm finishing up on, and if it's anything that you thought it would be, that you guys can name.
Lawnmower?
Nope.
Oh, I don't want to hear
tracker.
about it then.
Nope, not. Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, TJ got it because I shared it with you guys, and no,
sorry, I pay attention.
I was going to try and do the bird software. So there's this little application you can run on a Raspberry Pi, and it will identify, like, you put a microphone and it records audio, and then it processes that audio through AI and figures out what bird that's making that noise. And I'm going to do that one day. But I realized that, well, I found two Raspberry Pis, first of all, and I didn't realize I had two. So I was like, well, I'll just get one of them going with this bird thing. And it I don't know, for whatever reason, like, I didn't realize that the Raspberry Pi didn't have a microphone input. It just has the headphone output on it. So I was like, well, what else can I do? And there's this flight tracker app that I've been looking at for a while, and they have this little software you can run on a computer or Raspberry Pi, and you just plug in like a DBS antenna thing. Like, it's just a little antenna you can get off Amazon for like $20. You plug that in, and then they give you like a subscription to their business flight tracker software it's like a $500 a year value, and it's for free. And so I hooked all that up, hooked the little antenna up to the Raspberry Pi, and I'm tracking some flights, man. It's all live, real time. I can see like who I'm tracking and all that good stuff. A lot of fun, like just little fun Raspberry Pi projects that I'm doing to, instead of doing all the outside work that I should be doing to get the lawnmower up and going.
We're never getting that lawnmower done, are we? I really want to hear about the lawnmower, not the birds.
Man, I'm excited about the birds, but potentially lawnmower will be done this week. I don't know.
All right.
They should have some time coming up, and if I can, I've got the wire halfway run around the house. If I can get it the rest of the way, then that's it. But I've got all these other distractions, so I bought one of these things too. It's a weather station, a Tempest weather station. So like, I'm going to be tracking birds and airplanes and rainstorms pretty well at my house. This one's made by Tempest, Tempest. I know, Gavin, you've seen it. I hadn't seen it very much until some developer friends of mine were like, hey, you really have to check this out. But it's just a little weather station you stick on a pole outside, and it does all of the data collection, wind speeds, all that good stuff. Lightning strike detection, tells you how far the lightning strike was, away from the house, and that kind of thing.
That's important in Florida.
Yeah, it actually is. we have a pool at our community, and like there's not really any indication when you're there, as you know, if lightning is striking, it can be like 10 miles away and still strike you. But you need to know, like, you can't even hear it. You may hear rumblings way off, but you may not know it's going to come strike you.
Does lightning like sneak up on you in Florida? Because usually we know it's coming.
No. There will be storms inland, and people on the beach get struck by lightning, and it's just sunny. There's not a cloud in the sky at the beach. It's wild. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's not that important. Like if I hear thunder, I generally get inside.
Yeah.
but I will be interested to see like what the lightning counts are, because it can get pretty intense around here. Like the lightning storms are no joke. Like it's some nights it's almost like constant, just giant lightning bolts, one right after another. It's really wild. So I've got that to put in. I bought a pole for it today. The pole was too big for the little pole mount that I had, so I got to bring it back. I don't know. It seemed to be complicating things. This seems like it's probably one of the easiest things I could have installed, but this
it's going to get installed before the lawnmower.
It's just like everything. Yeah. It probably will be, because it's already paired. It's ready to go. It comes with this little base station that you plug in and hook to your Wi-Fi, and then it talks out to the thing in the yard. And
if you get the lawnmower installed and you don't have to cut the grass, you'll have more time to install the Tempest, and do all your other work, because you don't have to cut the grass.
All this logic, Gavin. I mean,
I know.
Really.
But for those listening, the Tempest, we were looking it up before the show. The Tempest has local control. So it looks like it can do everything is locally on your network, except for the weather reports, which it needs the internet for. But also the cool thing is it integrates with the Ratio system. So I guess Ratio has it built in so it can know how much rain you got, or if rain's coming, so then it can decide if it's going to water your lawn or not. So I'm going to take a look. We were looking at it, and it looks like they're going to have a Black Friday sale, so I might pick one up on Black Friday depending on what they offer.
Yeah. If you by the time you're listening to this, check it out, and they may still have some stuff online that you can get. I can't remember how much it was, like $350 or something like that. Maybe $299. I don't remember. But I was like, been staring at the thing for a long time, and it got really good reviews from a couple of friends of mine. So I was like, I'm going to check it out. And I was kind of surprised of all the like sensors that are built into it. And it doesn't have the little whirlybird thing on top. Like it uses kind of like an ultrasonic way to determine what the wind speed is. Like it just kind of looks different, and it's got solar panels on it to keep it charged. And it uses, there's no wires. You don't have to run any wires to it. It's completely wireless to the little bridge that you have inside. So as far as install goes, it's a lot easier than a robot lawnmower. So yeah.
The never-ending projects at Seth's house.
Oh man, I tell you, they don't stop. But I think I'm hoping this weekend I can get the robot christened and named or something. I gotta find a name for it. Then a Clippy, or I don't know. If you're listening to the show and you think you've got a good name for the robot that needs to go in there, let me know, because Gavin's got some pretty good ones for a robot vacuum, but I don't know what to name this guy. So
my robot vacuum's named Dusty.
Yeah, Dusty's a good name for vacuum.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well, hopefully I can get this thing cranked up this weekend and get the wire put in for the rest of the yard. Oh my gosh, and then go from there. So cool. Anything else?
Nope.
It up.
That's it.
Projects. It's a holiday weekend. I'm just going to be as busy as ever.
Even more busy, actually.
Exactly. Well, we do want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support the show through our Patreon page. If you don't know about the Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every pledge gets you an invite to our private Slack chat, The Hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day and I don't know, like talk about Mastodon servers that we randomly set up. I don't know. That's just a benefit for everybody, I think. But definitely, support the show. We'll help pay for the Mastodon server and the 3 people that'll use it until we, decide to turn it off.
And if we do turn it off, you can at least transfer over to another server easily. So you don't have to worry about signing up for it and not being able to do something.
Yeah. I noticed like when I can transfer my current .social account over to this, and it says, you can transfer it back. And I think even the admins of a server, if there's a process that they can do the transfer for everyone else, as they're moving, shutting it down or something like that. So it's not a completely lost cause, I guess, if you were to do that. So you still have both accounts, both places. It's just which one you want to be active at, I guess. Anyway, if you want to help out, but can't support the show financially, totally understand. Just appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes or a positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. With that wraps up another week in Home Tech. Have a great weekend, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
There you go. Couldn't stop.
You didn't stop recording. We're just gonna sit here and stare at TJ until
I was like, dang, they're gonna make me say it, aren't they?
He was sitting there going, "Did their video freeze?"
No, I knew what was going on.
You can see me laughing too hard. Oh, that's too good. All right, that's awesome. Too good.
Gobble gobble. See, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving doesn't make any sense though, because by the time this comes out, it'll be past Thanksgiving.
Flag the gobble gobble.
It'll be no longer Thanksgiving. So,
where's your mic, TJ?
It's right here.
It's blended.
So yeah, when you're sitting back, I can hear the noise in your room. So like, I think your audio is going to be pretty low.
So I have to like be right on top of it.
Well, yeah. I don't know. The gain could be down. I don't know. We got to play with audio eventually, but
that's all right. We'll figure it out. Actually,
yeah. Now you're off axis. I can tell.
Yeah,
I can't hear you.
Off axis. You're off axis.
Access networks. Access cameras.
Access denied.
Access. Oh, that was me on the servers. Oh man, I'm a king now of like SSH commands and setting up Ubuntu from scratch, and oh my gosh, you do it like 30 times.
Stop recording now. Should we stop
recording? Oh yeah, we could.
I guess so. We're running out.
For a show that we had nothing to talk about, I have an hour and a half recording.
Yeah, me too.
What? No, I'm not editing that. That's oh geez,
too late. Well, we don't even have any storage to put this in anyway, so what are we going to do about that?
What's that?
What's the episode number?
We're about to run out of Google.